December 29th, 1991.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to, I cannot even, I have to even start earlier when we came. When we came here, we all came individually because my brother was in South America. I was in England, my parents were in England, and then I came here during the war. War had already broken out in England. And we lived together, and my Aunt Frida came from Italy from Germany via Italy. So we always took an apartment together because my mother insisted that we have to stay together, and she was always worried that we would not have this. She wanted us to keep the same standard of living that we used to have. And it was difficult because not one person could do it. So we all lived together. We had a 4.5-room apartment. First we lived in the Heights, Washington Heights. They used to call this the Fourth Reich because there were many refugees. One knew the other one, and they knew about an apartment, and you wanted to be with people you are acquainted with, because it's not easy to come to a different country with a different language without a penny, Well, in any case, that's how we lived first in the Heights, in Washington Heights, and then when later on, that also where I met, I knew Hava, but he always used to come to pick me up in the beginning when I was here, and then he one day said, listen, I'm sick, I must have traveled around the world and I'm sick of it, how about getting married? Well, what I wanted to bring out first was that my mother was in the beginning not well, and we took in homework because she could not go out, but she had her master degree in Europe. She was a most wonderful dressmaker, and she worked for a tailor shop who gave her things like hems to shorten, sleeves to shorten, and things like that. And later on, when we moved to a brand new building in Woodside, in Woodside, Long Island, in a 4.5-room apartment. My parents came about 6 weeks later than I came. My brother came about 3 months later from Argentina, because that's where he had gone. And my Aunt Frida lived with us, so we had 4.5 rooms, and Bernhard and I had gotten married. That's a different story. I'll tell you some other time. It's going to be too long. But we had 1 room, my parents had 1 room, Frida had 1 room, and my brother slept in a huge hall. The apartment had a hall like you have over there, a little bigger hall. And a kitchen, and the kitchen had a dinette. But it was a brand new building in a good neighborhood. And so there we were all together, and we worked together. My father, who had been in a concentration camp and who also came back sick, he used to speak English before. He prepared himself, but by the time he got out of the camp, he forgot all his English. He couldn't speak much. So what he did is that he went into, one of our friends did that, and he told her about it, grandfather about it, and he got himself a little stock of chocolates, like he had Hershey bars, like a little traveling candy store. He had a suitcase, and he would go to the factories and sell to the workers his things. And he made pretty nice money. Frida worked in a kindergarten. I worked in a factory.
What did you do?
And I made artificial flowers. I had no idea how to do that, but it was very funny because it was difficult to get work at that time because so many refugees had come around at the same time and it was difficult to find work. So that was a Viennese guy who made artificial flowers and somebody I knew worked there. And she said, "You come with me, we can use somebody." I said, "I don't know how to do it." She said, "Don't tell him that you don't know how to do it. You tell him whatever, he should give you a chance." And I said to him, I went down with her, and he said, "Können Sie kubrieren?" That means, do you know how to, that's a French word. Kubrieren is when with a hot iron you shape the little blossoms. At that time we made apple blossoms. So there were little round pieces that you had a hot iron and you curled them. You curled them. And the next person put in the stem with the little stuff in the middle. And the next person put in leaves. And that's how they made a bunch of apple blossoms. So when the man asked me, "Können Sie kubrieren?" I said, "Yes, but I would appreciate if you would show me the way you would like to have it done." So he called a girl, and the girl showed how they do it. And what could have happened? He could have thrown me out, but I knew, I caught on to it, okay?
Right.
So I worked for quite some time there. Minimum wage, 8 hours a day, and 6 days a week. We all worked on minimum wage, but I was happy. I had a job.
You were also married.
No, at that time I wasn't married yet. That I did first. I was not married at that time.
Sure.
Then, when we moved, I went out with Haba, and he lived in Sunnyside, Queens, his family. At that time, we still lived in
Woodside?
in Jackson. No, in the Third Reich there, in the Heights, Washington Heights, and he would travel always. But then, when we decided to get married, then we rented the apartment together in Woodside. Also a brand new building. At that time you had to pay 1 month ahead of rent and 1 month escrow, which means a security. So we scraped the money together and we made it there. And I don't even know what I wanted to tell anymore, what I wanted to bring out. And my mother again would sew, would work from home. And we would also take in, for the evenings, homework, and we would do it together. We sat around the table and we did it together. That was a little extra income.
Yeah.
And that way we could make it very nicely. And then I got, I was studying at the time. There were people that gave special courses to prepare you for the state examination in anatomy and physiology, because my profession was a very good profession because it was well paid. And I wanted to become somebody where I could be independent. And I studied very hard anatomy and physiology, and I passed the test with the first try. In the meantime, I was sick all the time with my stomach. I was so nervous, I couldn't keep anything down what I ate. I had constant. I still have some of that. Well, in any case, that was the first till we got a little bit settled.
So what happened after you got settled?
We lived there for quite a few years in Woodside. My Aunt Frida studied. She used to be a highly intelligent woman. She had her doctorate in in philosophy and one in mathematics. She was holding 2 doctorates. And it was very difficult for her to get a job. And she went to school and she learned drawing for engineers. Complicated, I don't know, I have the papers, I sent it to Dr. Quack in Washington. And she got a job with that, but in the meantime, she was teaching in several schools Hebrew, part-time. And then in the afternoon, that was the Stern, I think it still is there, the Stern Academy, where they used to train teachers, Hebrew teachers, young women and men that would teach in schools, Hebrew, history, and all that belonged to it, to learn your background. So that's what Frida did, while my mother kept sewing, while my father kept peddling with chocolate and candy.
You all made minimum wage?
Well, yes. Well, my mother made them a little better because she would make alterations. She had a pretty nice income, but she couldn't do too much because she also had the house. Can you imagine so many people? It had to be cooked, it had to be kept clean. My mother, we all helped, you know.
How many people were in the house?
My parents, us, my parents, my brother and Frida, 6 in a 4.5-room apartment. They were very beautiful, large rooms. So that's why I speak of coordination. If everybody would have come to want to eat at a different time, I mean, it just wouldn't have worked.
Okay.
There should be in a family also a coordination. Not everybody can come and put. You can help yourself, but you cannot. It's not possible to do it in a way which is not so expensive. If everybody has something else, it's not practical. You have to live in a certain way on a certain schedule.
Okay.
That's where I have that from.